A lot of people on the left seemed very, very, very disappointed that Bill Burr went and performed for the Saudis. And I have no idea why. I guess maybe they thought he was their favorite comic. He spoke for them. He was their mascot. But comedians are not your allies. They don't give a shit about your cause. For the most part, comics are narcissists. Every time you put out a clip saying how such and such comic has finally turned on the right, you end up looking like a sucker. So maybe just stop doing that. Think of it this way, musicians. I often like to compare comedians to musicians. Musicians are on stage with other musicians. They learn how to play with others. Comedy is more like the Hunger Games because comics are essentially alone on stage, usually being very judgmental about everything from Pop-Tarts to politics without knowing much of anything and taking pride in not knowing much of anything. Comics don't give a shit about your cause. They give a shit about themselves. My point is if you're looking for an ally, try a musician. If you're looking for a stolen kidney, try a comedian. I mean, are you really surprised that Bill Burr is a fan of the Saudis? Half his library is just misogyny. And a lot of that misogyny it's kind of funny when he does it on stage. But it's hardly indicative of a democratic spirit. He praised Luigi. He shit on Elon. You ever think maybe it's because misogyny's not that hip anymore and he's workshopping new ideas? But I can't understand your confusion, though, because his misogyny was sincere. All you have to do is listen to his Terry Gross interview. Most of that interview is Bill Burr pretending to be, putting out this sort of reflective attitude that he believes will appeal to the NPR crowd. But the truth is, once Terry Gross started playing clips of him bashing feminism, he was flustered, angry, furious, and you really got a sense that he meant what he said. And she nailed him to the wall, by the way. It really demonstrates why he's so scared to debate and why he kept using all these straw man arguments about how people said that there were no women in the audience. Well, that's not what anyone said ever. And that's definitely not why people were calling you Bonesaw Bill. Anyways, I can understand the confusion. His anti-feminism is sincere. So maybe his, class war stuff is also sincere. But you weren't paying attention, man. You got to listen. You got to go look around. You got to find a moment where his guard is down and he really tells you what he feels, how he feels about income inequality.
What else do we got here? Marginal tax rate. Hey, Bill, I'm listening to a recent podcast where you talk about AOC's plan to tax people at a higher rate. The marginal tax rate kicks in after someone earns their first $10 million. After that, the income is taxed at 70%. Dude, fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck that. That doesn't touch people who create startups? Yeah, it does. When they turn around and sell it for fucking tens of millions of dollars. Of course it does.
Who brought up startups, dude? Who gives a shit about startups? Starting a Dollar Shave Club in your dorm room because you got like $300,000 worth of investments from private capital companies? What do I give a fucking shit, dude? I don't even make a living wage. This is your advocate right there. This is your genius. Who brought up startups? That's your argument? That's your argument as to why Elon Musk gets to have that much power. Okay.
Most comedians don't make anything close to that. You don't even know what comedians make. That's not fucking true. Comedians are crushing it right now.
You hear that, comedians? You're crushing it right now. Totally crushing it right now. It's not like any of you are working day jobs or living on Medicaid or SNAP benefits and struggling with like making like doing one show a week, making $50 a pop. You know, none of you except for 99% of the ones I've met. What the fuck is this privileged, entitled helicopter pilot lying about? And that's right, I called him a helicopter pilot. You know why? He owns a helicopter. Because he saw Airwolf when he was a kid. That's how much money he has. Stop rallying for this dude. He ain't even funny anymore. Did you see? His last two specials were... And that voice of his is fucking fake. That dude's lived in LA for 20 years. You don't think he could have You don't think he could have shook that stupid accent by now? No, he keeps it. You know why? It's part of his marketing. That shit sells in Hollywood. The working class guy. The guy who told... You know, in the 60s, we had a 70% marginal tax rate. And there were two billionaires, and one of them was Howard Hughes. Nowadays, we got like, I believe last I checked 900, which means we have more than 900 because they probably just had one the other. In fact, I think my 10-year-old cousin just became a billionaire. I was babysitting him the other night and I caught him going through my data. Stop jerking these comics off. You look like an idiot. Oh, I know you're trying to prove to everybody that you have a sense of humor, but you don't know what you're talking about. They're not your allies. They're not your pals. They're not your friends. They're just going to break your heart. And by the way, in note, bonus episode, Jon Stewart gave an interview to the New Yorker. In that interview, he called David Cross and Mark Maron garbage people because they criticized Bill Burr for performing for the Saudi royals. In that same interview, he also defended Joe Rogan for his constant lying and his right-wing propaganda, his lying about race and IQ, his lying about voting, about immigrants and voting, his great replacement lies, his lie about public schools allowing kids to dress up like cats and shit in litter boxes. I don't know what these teachers apparently do about kids who identify as dogs, but whatever, that's a different story. Just his constant lying about horse medicine and everything. Just his lies about the Consumer Protection Board. I mean, dude, the guy's the modern Rush Limbaugh. He has no problem. Mark Maron and David Cross are garbage people, but he has no problem defending the likes of Joe Rogan or the likes of Tony Hinchcliffe when Tony Hinchcliffe performed at that white nationalist rally for free because he said he believed in the cause. Or his defense of who else? Oh, he defended Dave Chappelle's anti-Semitism and his anti-trans stuff. He defended Louis C.K.'s activities with extracurricular activities with his freckled dong. But Mark Maron and David Cross are garbage people. Okay. This is the guy you want to be your president, for real? This is your pick for president? I mean, don't get me wrong. If he's nominated, I'll vote for him. But come on, dude. You really want to take a chance with this guy? You got questions about Graham Plattner, but you don't have questions about this dude? Who's he going to be president for? Really?